Hi, it's Hans at happierman.com. Today's topic is Happier Man Secrets using the Blackdragon blog as a guide. Well, one of my favorite bloggers is Blackdragon, so I highly recommend you go to his blog, blackdragonblog.com, and read. He's got a wealth of information there. He's got books. He's got an amazing concept on life. And if you can get a little bit of what he has, I think you're going to be a lot happier. So trying to get to where he is, it's taking quite a bit. Now, I'm older than he is and started later, and frankly had a much more ridiculously different and difficult and harder life to get out of than he has. So that's why you might want to listen to me, because if you're coming from a very difficult place, you're probably closer to me than to him. From what I've read about him, he had a lot easier time with life. So let's just get into his 4 secrets, or 4 elements to happiness, and with my spin on them. Okay, I'll go over the 4 quickly, and then we'll get into them. So the first is success with women. The second is success with your income. The third is success with your health and looks. And the fourth is success with savings and money. So 4 main elements. He would call it 4 areas of your life to get handled for your long-term happiness and short-term happiness. So perhaps the first 2, women and income, that's best for your short-term happiness, and the last 2, looks/health, and money is good for your long-term happiness. So he would say that first is your women life. So you want to be able to meet and have sex with cute girls, multiple ones, without huge difficulty or without huge expense by you. And this makes perfect sense given his worldview and given the nature of men liking to have good relationships, physical relationships with women we find attractive. For myself, I'm the happiest when I'm meeting new girls and getting physical with them without too much difficulty and without having to spend a lot of money. I just think of myself how happy I am when I meet a girl and have that kind of man-woman fun with her, and without having to spend tons of money and go through ridiculous hoops that she makes me jump through. And that's exactly what Blackdragon is saying, is he would recommend you get his products and try out his methods for bringing new women into your life and having the physical relationships with them that most make you happy without too much difficulty. It makes perfect sense. Now, a traditional guy with a marriage and only one woman, you're probably going to find yourself quite unhappy with that arrangement. That's just the nature of relationships nowadays. The guys I know who've been with a woman long term, the sex gets very infrequent and stale. It's mostly because she gets sick of you, and you might get a little tired of her too, but it's a two-way street, right? Having a family, taking care of kids, all the stress of life gives your sex life, for women and men, a horrific beating. So the one that bringing that new girl into your life without too much difficulty and he would recommend 2 girls, not hundreds like you're a pickup artist. Certainly if you can have the hundreds, you're probably going to be ecstatic beyond belief, but let's just put that to the side. 2, usually better. He would call 2 better than 1, because if the one girl throws drama at you or finds a different guy or gets sick of you or treats you poorly, you just move on to the next. And then while you're enjoying that second one, while you're looking for another one to replace the first, does make perfect sense. I love his view on this and how you might incorporate this type of thinking into your lifestyle. You're probably going to be a lot happier man. I just know that I am just so thrilled to meet a new girl and have some fun with her without enormous effort. And it's just fun. It's fun. It's got to be fun for her too, right? You got to be the type of guy who women like to have fun with and not force yourself on her, of course. Does that even have to be said? I guess it does. So what is the second? Well, for the short-term happiness, well, the income. He makes the case that in today's world, in the West, in American dollars, you probably need to make around $75,000 a year gross income. You'll have bills and taxes and other things like that. And that amount of money ought to give you a fairly decent lifestyle that you can afford to do quite a bit of the things you like to do. You can afford to have a decent place. You can afford a decent vehicle. You can afford, you can pay your bills on time and get things handled. You can have some fun with it, traveling or hobbies or whatever you consider fun. If you make substantially less than that, all those things are very, very difficult. It's very, the baseline amount of money you need for living there's only so much you can cut, right? I've got a article about this on my website. I can't remember the name offhand, but it had to do with that same idea. In that when I finally cracked into that $75,000 mode, everything becomes easier, and that's the income you should be striving to get. And he recommends you use that as a baseline, because sometimes, well, of course, more is better, right? The more money you make, the better. But what you'll find is that in order to make much more money than that, you've got to work really hard and longer hours and, knock yourself out in order to get it. You may work less, you may make not that much money, but by working overtime hours, you get the money. Well, that's not working shorter, is it? If you're working more than 40 hours a week. Now, he makes the case that we should be doing this with a location-independent business. And yeah, that would be great. But let's say if you're just working at a normal job, 40 hours a week, that's what kind of pay you would like to get to make sure you have enough money to pay for a nice, comfortable lifestyle. Now, he also qualifies that 75 without that you can't have enormous amounts of debt, because, of course, that reduces your spending money. So you should read up on that. But if you make, let's say, half that, you're not going to have much of a life, because the bills are going to be hard to pay, and you're not going to have much free money for other things. So give that idea some thought. That's the second thing that he would say is critical to your happiness. And that's your short-term happiness. That's what you need today and moving forward, that much money. Now, if you have a lot more, and it depends on where you live. If you live in a big city, LA, Chicago, New York, of course, San Francisco, those are extremely expensive cities. Chicago isn't as much as the other three. And you're going to need a lot more than $75,000 to be. But just say if you're in the normal part of the rest of the country. What else? Oh, the third thing, and this has to do with your long-term as well as your short-term, is you need to optimize your health and appearance. The two are linked. As a man gets older, his health starts to deteriorate, and as his health deteriorates, his looks also go down. Older men, you either one, get fat, or two, you get skinny. Neither one of these is optimal. So myself, I'm older and I'm fatter, and that isn't optimal. And I keep working at it, trying to lean down. But let's just say for my weight and what I've gone through, I don't feel too bad about my looks. I feel like I've got some things under control, and I'm working on other things. So he would make the case, Blackdragon, that yeah, you got to be working at this, so as you get older, you don't continue to decline, and get it's very easy to get very obese, and it's also very easy to lose all your muscle, and you look just terrible, right? And of course, most men, as they age, most men look terrible. And if you didn't know those guys and loved them so much for whatever reason, your grandfathers and your dads and your older friends and your uncles, if you just saw those guys, you'd say, oh man, that guy really, really looks terrible. But of course, you know them and you know where they came from, and you enjoy them anyway. But let's just say older men are notorious for looking terrible as they age, especially older married men, or even older bachelors who don't have any consideration for taking care of themselves. I talk about this, and there's just some simple tips you can use to make you look better. One, get some sunshine, get in the sun, get a little bit of color. Now, don't go overboard and get burnt, but yeah, you need the sun. That helps you. You need to supplement well. Do your research, find out what supplements are appropriate. I have a battery of supplements, and they all seem to help me. You want to, if you're fat, you want to quit eating so many carbs and so much sugar. That's going to help you lean down somewhat. And the easiest way to eat less carbs and less sugar is to increase your intake of protein, meat protein, not vegetable protein, and fats. That's the classic way to start to slim down a little bit, get your belly under control so it's not so bloated. The other way is to, I talked about it, with the tight haircut and the facial hair and the contact lenses. All these things will contribute to you looking good and making you feel better. Then certainly you want to be lifting weights. I have a lot of videos on lifting weights, how that seems to be the best way for men to, older men especially, and younger men, to be healthy and to look better within reason. And then of course the dressing, some sense of style, taking care of your teeth, grooming, how you trim all the different various hairs and all of that. All that contributes, right? Going to the dentist, going to the doctor when you need it. You might need testosterone replacement therapy. If you're older, it's almost guaranteed that you do. Now, this is an expensive thing, but if you want to maintain a more youthful appearance and energy level, you're going to probably need that. So that was the third thing. What's the fourth thing? I think the fourth and final. Well, it's your long-term savings and having money and available as you age for what life is going to throw at you. Well, as you age, yeah, there's going to be all kinds of difficulties, right? And you're going to want to have money. Certainly, you're going to want to have your debts paid off, and you're going to want to have various pensions and savings and cash available, so your life as you get older isn't so difficult. Now, truthfully, I don't see how, unless you're extremely wealthy, that your old age isn't going to be extremely difficult. So I'm, working on that fourth one, but my success is limited. Like I said, I had an extreme battering from my ex-wife, and the difficulty with that kind of pushed my money-making skills. I was just surviving barely. So it's going to take me longer. But those are the four things. I would recommend you try to get to his website and look for that article on 4 critical skills for men. And I hope you enjoyed my take on it. I think, I may have mentioned this in a different video, but I've learned so much from internet guys like Blackdragon, and there's a bunch of others. But what I have noticed with these guys are they all are younger than me, and they've all kind of learned faster than I did, and some of them, while they'll rightfully talk up their success levels, they haven't had to overcome nearly the difficulty I have. So I do feel good about the difficulty I've overcame, but I do feel bad for kind of missing out on huge chunks of my life. But that doesn't mean that I don't want to enjoy the rest. So, I do what I can with what I have to make improvements to my life. And those 4 things from Blackdragon and my take on, trying to bump up my abilities to do those things, I think that will really help you. I hope it does. We as men, you have to look out for yourself. I know that sounds selfish, but it is the only way possible that you're going to have a good life. So give those ideas some thoughts. Get to my website, read some of my story. Get to Blackdragon's website. You can't go wrong. I mean, myself and he and other men, we're trying to help you. We're trying to help other men have a good life. I don't want you to suffer like I suffered, man. You don't deserve that. I didn't deserve it. You certainly don't. So, all for today.